Are we good to go, Jen?
I'm all set. Yes, thanks.
Okay, and we have everybody that's going to be on, right?
I haven't heard from Sean, but
We have a quorum, so we're good. Okay, so let's call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the IDA meeting. Julio, could you do a roll call, please?
Yes, good morning. Ms. Laughlin?
Here.
Ms. Laughlin's present. Mr. Sykes?
Here.
Mr. Sykes is present. Mr. Siegel?
Present.
Mr. Siegel's present. Ms. Roig?
Here.
Ms. Roig is present. Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Smith is present. And Mr. Gunther?
Here.
Mr. Gunther's present. And Mr. Brooks is absent.
Okay. Did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes from the December 13th meeting? And if so, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll move. So moved.
Thank you. Scott, choose who you're choosing, Julio. I think we had Scott, Ed, and Carol, your pick for first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the schedule of payments. Jen, you want to talk about that?
sure. So the schedule of payments that's before you includes a total of 11 payments in the amount of $9,577.81. There are no changes to the schedule of payments. The other thing I wanted to mention is at the bottom, there is a record of our first pilot distribution. So all 3 pilot payments that were due in December were received and distributed to the taxing jurisdictions in December, and they total just under $600,000.
Great. Does anyone have any questions on the schedule of payments? Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
I will. I'll move.
Paul,
I'll
move.
second it.
Ed, second, or vice versa. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the staff activity report. Did everybody read that? Jen, is there anything you want to talk about in particular or call out?
No, I just wanted to let you know we're starting to work on our 2021 audits with RBT CPAs. So we've just begun that process of getting information from them and giving information to them. So we'll be working on that. We will be sending out the rest of the pilot calculations in the next couple of days, and those due dates will be in at the end of January and then through mid-February. Does anyone have questions on the report?
Okay, hearing none. Can I have a motion to, I guess we don't need a motion on that, right, Walter?
No motion.
Okay, so let's move on. We have 2 resolutions before us for Catskill Hospitality Holding LLC and Catskill Hospitality Operating LLC. One is the first is the request for an extension of the sales tax abatement. Should we take them one at a time? Walter, you want to walk us through these 2 resolutions?
I think you can take them together. And
Take them together? Okay.
Julio or Jen has been in touch with them. I have not. This is a long delayed project, as you know, and it's not surprising that they need an extension because it's obvious things are not completely buttoned up over there yet.
Right, and just to be clear, so there's just the one resolution for this project. That's fine, and it's just the 6-month extension, and they've been pretty communicative with us regarding their progress and what they still need to do, which you can see here on the request. Julio, did you have anything to add on it?
I have nothing to add. The only thing I would say is that according to all of their monthly purchase reports, they've claimed an exemption of about 20% of their total authorized amount. So it might be worth looking into further because they've been working with us for a few years now, and it should be a higher number, I believe. So just something for us to look at.
So you're saying that they're not claiming enough?
Well, they've been active since about 2018, and so for them to be about 20% of their authorized purchases seems low to me.
And there's two possible explanations, or perhaps an unlimited number of possible explanations, but 2 that are likely. Either they're underreporting to us or they're paying sales tax on things that they don't have to. And when the project is completed, based on what Julio is saying, I'm sure we'll have to get somebody to audit it like we have on other projects where things don't make sense.
So we audit not only when they don't pay us, but when we audit when they overpay us.
We audit when it doesn't match reality.
Okay, good.
That's what
Make 'em-
this one said. That's what this one sounds. 20% sounds crazy.
Right, way too low. Now, can we, when they pay sales tax in a sense, and they're overpaying, like they're paying sales tax on stuff they shouldn't, they can't claw that back if we bring it to their attention afterwards, can they?
They can apply to the state of New York for a refund. They can't do anything with us.
Got it.
They're no different than any other taxpayer that pays sales tax. You know, a farmer goes to a store and buys something and says, I have a farm exemption, and the store says, we don't bother with farm exemptions. You buy it, you pay the tax, and you apply for a refund. Same thing here.
Got it. So we should help them if we can, to give them every kind of chance of success.
If, assuming that paying sales tax is the reason, we've recently had some audits where the amount of exemption that has been taken has been greater than the amount reported to us. So
Well, that's typical. That would be more, makes more sense probably than anything.
yeah, I just don't think midstream in a project like this is a good time for us to be thinking about it or implementing something, because maybe we'll find out by the end that the amount of payments they made were very back end loaded. You have a hotel, they're going to be furnishing 100 rooms, they're going to be putting in systems. I mean, who knows? So when we get it to the end and Julio puts it all together, we'll do a rationality text. And if it's not rational, we'll do what we've done with other projects where it's not rational.
Julio, are they up to date on all their reports and all their payments?
Yes, they are.
I'll make a motion to accept the extension. Is that appropriate?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, resolution's approved. Is there any other new business to come before the IDA?
Susie, can I talk? I maybe should have spoken about this during the staff report, but can I give a brief update on the review, the UTEP review?
That'd be great.
So the committee to review the IDA's UTEPs has continued to meet, and the committee did all its outreach to the various towns, counties, villages, other economic development agencies, and last week had sort of a wrap-up meeting to finish synthesizing all the input received and formulate recommendations for the board. So what I'm working on now is drafting that report, which will go to the committee, I'm sure, several times for their review and revision, and then it'll come to you all for your consideration. We had discussed asking the board to recess this meeting to reconvene later in January, so that we could get you the final version of the report before you meet. And then there has to be a public notice and a public comment period should the board decide to accept the recommendations of the committee. So in kind of keeping with our original timeline of getting this wrapped up in February, we would ask that the board consider recessing and reconvening later in January to move forward with the next step.
That makes sense. So we need so what we'll do is adjourn this meeting, not end this meeting, is what you're
We'll
saying.
recess this meeting
Recess
and not
the-
adjourn it. Yep.
Recess it, okay. Okay, so before we recess the meeting, if there's no other business, is there any public comment? Or Walter, do you have anything before we go to public
Nope,
comment?
no.
Okay,
Jen,
any-
can you give us an update on where you are with your discussions with the casino, which asked for kind of a blanket sales tax extension? I think we extended it to the end of January.
We did, yes. And I had a discussion with Megan Taylor at the casino, and she needed a little bit of clarification on what types of purchases are exempt and what are not. So we went through that, and I think that was helpful. I am still, I would like to get a little more detail from the project on some of the things that they have still to do, so that we can make sure that those things are part of the original project as approved. And I'd like to get something in writing from the casino, which I think is what the board wanted, that specifies what remains to be purchased. I think they are still doing work that's part of the original project scope, but I want to get something more clear in writing from them. I realize that the current exemption ends at the end of this month, so that hopefully could be something that the board could take up later this month.
At the recess meeting. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, and before we go to public comment, I also want to thank not only staff and Walter, but I want to thank Howard. I want to thank Ed for the time you've invested as members of the committee on behalf of the IDA. This was a lot of work for everyone, and of course, we're all volunteers here. So thank you very much for putting forth the time that it took to get us to the place where we're going to soon have a report.
It was very enlightening. I will say that it was, I went into this kicking and screaming, ask Ed, and I wouldn't take any of his 25 calls that he never made to ask. It was very enlightening, not only from the public's perspective, but from my own, in kind of understanding a little bit of, a thought process. And so I won't say thank you for bestowing the honor of learning a little bit, but it was really a positive for me.
Well, thank you.
I know in
Thanks
your
for the
heart, you
good
really do
leadership
thank
on
me.
it, Howard.
I do, Ed, always.
Okay, so can I have a motion to recess the meeting?
No, you need, Ken, we need a public
Oh, I'm
comment.
sorry. So sorry, Ken. Any public comment?
I wasn't going to make any, but I don't know if all these meetings have been taking place. As far as I'm concerned, the public has been never notified where these have been taking place and if they're even open to the public. So that's a point I have a question about.
Comment received.
Any other comments?
I'll make a motion to recess without milk and cookies this meeting until the next.
You got to have a date.
Right.
Do you have a date, Jen?
2 weeks from today, Jen.
The 24th is a Monday. Could everyone do that? We don't know for certain that we will be meeting via Zoom. The current legislation that allows us to meet remotely expires on Saturday. So I don't know. We might meet in person.
Is that required or is that an option?
It will be required if the legislation isn't extended or new legislation put in place. So I'm sure I could reserve either the committee room or the hearing room on the 24th. And if not, we can figure out a different room. We've met in the planning conference room before if there's an absolute need.
Same time, Jen?
Is the 24th at 11 okay for everyone?
Yes, okay with me.
Yes, okay with me.
Okay. All right. So it'll be at the Sullivan County Government Center. And I'll finalize the exact location and get you that information right away.
Did you say
The
11
bigger
o'clock?
room would be healthier.
You said 11 o'clock, Jen?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that the 24th?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So I think Howard had moved to recess and then we would just need a second.
I'll
I'll
second.
second it.
Okay, thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we now have an LDC meeting. So let us know, Jen, when you're ready. And then Julio, if you could do roll call